Colleagues, Russia called this meeting under the false pretense that the United States has no ground to respond to attacks that have killed U.S. personnel. It bears repeating, therefore, that the actions U.S. forces took on February 2 are necessary and proportionate, consistent with international law, and in exercise of the United States' inherent right to self-defense.
I would like to iterate that if Iran faces any threat, attack, or aggression affecting its security, national interest, or people, it will not hesitate to exercise its inherent rights under international law and the UN Charter to respond firmly.
Господа председатели, очевидно, что американские авиаудары специально рассчитаны на дальнейшее разжигание конфликта. Их целями стали объекты и позиции.
The United States has indicated that relevant military operations will continue. China expresses its serious concern over this situation. We oppose any acts that violate the UN Charter and infringe upon the territorial sovereignty and security of other countries.
Inasmuch the US and its allies benefit from this order, and they advocate for it, using it to justify including their strikes in Iraq and Syria, it's becoming ever clearer that this has very little to this American legal construct has little to do with international law. President, it's clear that American airstrikes are specifically, deliberately aimed to stoke the conflict, and that they targeted positions of the Syrian Arab Republic army in the east of the country, mainly in the province of Deir ez-Zor, where the Syrian army continue to fight against the remaining ISIL fighters who Washington, through their statements, are covering for and tutoring. There are endlessly attacking in recent times targets allegedly of pro-Iran groups in Iraq and Syria. The US is trying to expand this regional conflict to biggest countries in the Middle East. At the same time, the US Central Command representative saying that the so-called operation was coordinated with the authorities of Iraq. However, in the statement of the Iraqi authorities, the US activities were called another brazen aggression and a violation of the sovereignty of Iraq. And the information of Washington on alleged coordination of the strikes with Baghdad is a deliberate lie focused on skewing public opinion and shirking legal responsibility.
I appeal to the Council to continue to actively engage all concerned parties to prevent further escalation and the worsening of tensions that undermine regional peace and security. Madam President, I reiterate the Secretary General's call on all parties to step back from the brink and to consider the unbearable human and economic cost of a potential regional conflict.
The United States conducted precision airstrikes on February 2 in Iraq and Syria against Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and affiliated militia groups. This necessary and proportionate action was taken in exercise of the United States' inherent right of self-defense as reflected in Article 51 of the UN Charter. Less than a week ago, on January 28, Iran-aligned militia groups in Iraq attacked a Jordanian facility hosting U.S. forces taking part in the fight against ISIS-Daesh. 3 U.S. service members lost their lives that day, and many others were wounded. This loss is devastating. This is unacceptable, and attacks like it cannot continue.
All of the resistance groups in the region are independent, and their decisions and actions are motivated by their legitimate rights under international law that are ending the illegal presence of U.S. in their territories, stopping the genocide in Gaza, and ending the occupation of Palestinian territories. Therefore, any attempt to attribute these actions to Iran or its armed forces is misleading, baseless, and unacceptable. Iran never seeks to contribute to the spillover in the region.